Can a 10-year-old heart carry a memory so heavy that even grown adults cannot hold back their tears? On one of the world's biggest stages, under blinding lights and silent expectations, a small Indian girl stood with her braids resting gently on her shoulders. The stage of America's Got Talent had seen magicians, singers, dancers, and dreamers. But that night, it saw something else. It saw a child carrying a promise. Anaya Singh was not there for fame. She was not there for applause. She was there because of a song. A song that once echoed through the narrow streets of her hometown. A song that her father used to hum while fixing old guitars. The song belonged to Lucky Dube. And the promise belonged to a daughter. Months ago, when she first stepped on that stage, the judges were surprised. The audience was curious. A 10-year-old Indian girl with a Rasta soul singing reggae felt unexpected. Unusual. Almost impossible. But when she began to sing, something shifted. The hall grew quiet. Faces softened. Eyes filled. That was part 1. Now she had returned. Part 2 was not about proving talent. It was about revealing truth. The world did not know what lived inside her small chest. They did not know the nights she cried into her pillow. They did not know the hospital corridors. The unfinished lullabies. The last promise whispered beside a fragile hand. They only saw a child. But that night, they were about to witness a story. Could one little voice carry the weight of loss? Could a tribute become healing? And could a father's dream, buried in silence, rise again through his daughter's song? The lights dimmed. The music waited. And somewhere, beyond the noise of the world, a memory prepared to sing again. Anaya Singh was only 10 years old, but her eyes carried a quiet depth that did not belong to childhood. She lived in a small rented house at the edge of a crowded Indian town. The paint on the walls was fading, and the ceiling fan made a soft ticking sound at night. Her world was simple. A wooden study table. A narrow bed. A mirror where she practiced smiling before every performance. She was not loud like other children. She did not run through the streets chasing kites or argue over toys. Instead, she spent her evenings sitting near the window, watching the sky turn orange while holding her father's old guitar pick in her hand. It was her lucky charm. Anaya had always been sensitive. She felt things deeply. If someone scolded her, she would stay quiet for hours. If someone praised her, her smile would stay for days. Music was the only place where she felt brave. At school, she was polite but distant. Some children did not understand her braided Rasta hairstyle. Some whispered. Some laughed. She pretended not to hear. At home, she helped her mother, Anaya Singh, with small chores. Washing dishes carefully. Folding clothes neatly. She liked things organized. It gave her control in a world that had once felt suddenly broken. At night, when the house became silent, she often lay awake. Not because she was afraid of the dark. But because silence reminded her of what was missing. Her father, Arjun Singh, used to fill the house with music. His soft reggae rhythms, inspired by Lucky Dube, once turned their tiny living room into a stage. Now, the room felt bigger. Colder. Anaya missed his laughter most. The way he would close his eyes while singing. The way he believed she was born to do something special. Before stepping again onto the stage of America's Got Talent, her heart felt heavy. She was not nervous about forgetting lyrics. She was afraid of remembering too much. Because this performance was not just a song. The moment that changed Anaya's life did not arrive with thunder. It came quietly. Like a song slowly fading. Arjun Singh had always been strong in her eyes. Even when money was short. Even when his guitar strings were old and rusted. He smiled through everything. He believed that music could heal what the world could not. But illness does not listen to belief. It began with small coughs. Then tired evenings. Then hospital visits that stretched longer each week. Anaya did not understand the medical words. She only understood the way her father's hands felt colder every time she held them. The house slowly changed. The music stopped. The living room that once carried reggae rhythms inspired by Lucky Dube became silent. The guitar rested in a corner, untouched. Anaya felt the silence more than anyone. She tried to be brave for her mother. She stopped asking for small things. She stopped complaining about homework. She began waking up early to help more around the house. But inside, she was afraid. Afraid that the hospital doors would one day close without bringing her father back. That day came without warning. There was no long goodbye. No final song. Just a fragile hand that squeezed hers weakly, and eyes that tried to say everything without strength. After that, the world felt different. At school, laughter sounded distant. Festivals felt heavy. Even birthdays lost color. She blamed herself sometimes. She wondered if she could have sung louder. If her voice could have somehow kept him alive. A child's heart often carries impossible guilt. When she first stepped onto the stage of America's Got Talent months later, she thought performing would heal her. But standing there again for part 2, the wound felt fresh. Because singing meant remembering. And remembering meant feeling the emptiness all over again. Her biggest fear was not failure. It was breaking down before she could finish the song. It was realizing that some promises are heavier than dreams. And yet, she knew she had to sing. Not to erase the pain. But to face it. The night of part 2 felt different from the beginning. The stage lights were softer. The air felt heavier. Even before the music began, something unseen was moving through the hall of America's Got Talent. Anaya closed her eyes. For a brief second, she almost stepped back. The fear rose again. The hospital smell. The beeping machines. The fragile silence after her father was gone. Her fingers trembled. But then something unexpected happened. In the front row, her mother Mira held up a small object. It was her father's old guitar pick, tied with a thin red thread. The same one Anaya used to keep near her pillow every night. She had forgotten it backstage. Or maybe she had left it behind on purpose, afraid it would make her emotions stronger. But seeing it there, shining gently under the lights, something shifted inside her. She realized she was not standing alone. She was carrying love. Not loss. The memory of Arjun Singh no longer felt like a wound. It felt like strength. She remembered how he used to close his eyes while singing songs inspired by Lucky Dube. Not because he was sad. But because he trusted the music. And suddenly, Anaya understood something that changed everything. She had been singing to hold on to him. But now, she needed to sing to let him live through her. The fear slowly melted. The guilt loosened its grip. The stage was no longer a place of pressure. It became a bridge between past and present. As the first note left her lips, it carried something new. Not just pain. Not just tribute. But acceptance. Her voice grew steadier. Stronger. Warmer. The audience did not know about the realization happening inside her small heart. But they could feel it. This was no longer a child trying to survive grief. This was a daughter transforming grief into purpose. And in that quiet shift, everything changed. When the final note faded inside the Grand Hall of America's Got Talent, something invisible remained in the air. It was not just applause. It was understanding. Anaya stood still for a moment, breathing softly, her small hands resting by her side. The tears in the audience were not only for her voice. They were for the story her voice carried. A child had walked onto the stage with grief in her heart. But she walked away with courage. Her tribute to Lucky Dube was more than a performance. It was proof that music can turn pain into power. That love does not end when life does. It simply changes form. Anaya learned that night that loss does not disappear. It becomes part of who we are. It shapes our strength. It deepens our compassion. It teaches us to value every moment we are given. She could not bring her father back. But she could carry his dream forward. And sometimes, that is enough. The world often sees children as fragile. Too small to handle heavy emotions. Too young to understand sorrow. But children feel deeply. They remember quietly. They love completely. And when they choose to rise despite heartbreak, their courage can move even the strongest hearts. Anaya's journey reminds everyone watching that pain does not have to silence us. It can shape us. It can teach us to sing louder. It can remind us that promises made in love never truly fade. Some dreams are not meant to be lived by one person alone. They travel from one heart to another. That night, a father's unfinished melody found a new voice. And through one small girl's bravery, the world was reminded of a simple truth. Love, when carried with courage, can echo far beyond loss.